Earth had been watching the skies for decades, always wondering if they were alone. When the first signals came from deep space, scientists scrambled to decode them. At first the messages seemed like distant echoes of a civilization far beyond humanity's reach, but soon telescopes captured something that changed everything. A fleet of alien ships, massive and sleek, cutting through the void of space. They weren't coming to make friends, they were coming to conquer. Panic swept across the world as governments broadcast emergency warnings. Satellites tracked the fleet's trajectory as it passed Jupiter's orbit, closing in faster than anyone had predicted. Every nation prepared for war, though most knew their weapons stood no chance against technology advanced enough to cross galaxies. Yet as the aliens approached Mars, something impossible happened. They vanished. The entire armada, thousands of ships strong, disappeared as if swallowed by the void. Earth's defense systems, locked and ready, detected nothing. No wreckage, no fading energy signatures, just silence. Confusion spread through military command centers and scientific communities alike. Some speculated it was a trick, others believed the aliens had encountered some unknown force near Mars, but no answers came. 2 days later, the first of the survivors arrived. A single alien pod drifted toward Earth's atmosphere, crashing into the Arizona desert. The military sealed off the site within hours, surrounding the strange metallic craft that seemed half melted from within. When they pried open its hatch, they found a creature inside. Barely alive, the alien was humanoid but grotesquely altered, its skin pale and translucent, veins pulsing with an iridescent blue fluid. Its once black eyes had turned milky white and its breath came in ragged gasps. Scientists rushed to study it, but the creature died within hours, its body collapsing into a puddle of organic sludge that evaporated before tests could be conducted. More pods appeared over the following days, scattered across Earth. From the Siberian tundra to the Sahara's burning sand, some held aliens still clinging to life, others contained only shriveled remains. None survived longer than a few hours. Each one showed signs of internal decay, as though something had attacked them from within. Governments struggled to keep the truth hidden, but leaked footage of the pods and dying aliens spread across the internet. Speculation exploded. Some believed Earth had secretly developed a weapon capable of wiping out the invaders before they arrived. Others whispered of an ancient force protecting the planet, something humanity could never understand. But those closest to the truth knew it was neither of these things. Dr. Aisha Voss, lead astrophysicist at the Global Space Defense Initiative, was among the few who had studied the alien signals from the beginning. Late one night, she sat alone in her lab, scrolling through data from deep space sensors. Her fingers froze on the keyboard as she spotted an anomaly. A faint pulse of energy emanating from Mars's orbit. It matched no natural phenomenon, and its frequency was unlike any human technology. Heart pounding, she enhanced the signal, filtering out background noise. Hidden within the pulse was a sequence of sounds, distorted and fragmented but unmistakably a voice. Using advanced decryption algorithms, she reconstructed fragments of the message. As the garbled words filled her headphones, a chill ran down her spine. "We tried the humans, not what they seem. Something inside it spreads no escape. Mars, a trap. Earth, doomed." Aisha stared at the screen, her mind racing. The aliens hadn't vanished, they had been attacked, but not by Earth. Something near Mars had destroyed them. And if their message was true, whatever had infected their fleet was heading toward Earth. Before she could alert her superiors, her computer screen flickered and went dark. The lab's overhead lights dimmed, plunging the room into shadows. A faint hum resonated through the air as if the walls themselves were vibrating. Aisha grabbed her phone, but its screen was dead. Panic rising, she rushed to the door, only to find it locked tight, the keypad unresponsive. A metallic creak echoed from the lab's ventilation system. Aisha backed away as cold air poured from the vents, carrying a faint chemical scent that burned her nostrils. Her breaths grew shallow, her pulse hammering in her chest. She stumbled toward the emergency exit, but her legs faltered as though her muscles were turning to lead. Falling to her knees, she clutched at her throat, choking on invisible fumes as darkness closed in. Her last thought was a single terrifying realization. Earth hadn't been saved from the aliens. It had been exposed to something far worse. Days passed after Aisha Voss vanished from the Global Space Defense Initiative. No one questioned her absence. Official reports claimed she had resigned due to stress, but those who knew her best found the explanation hollow. Her research files had been sealed, her lab stripped of equipment overnight. It was as if she had never existed. Yet whispers of her final discovery spread through underground networks. Rumors of a force near Mars that had destroyed the alien fleet and was now approaching Earth. Most dismissed the stories as fear-mongering, but a few believed. Among them was Commander Nathan Cole of Earth's Orbital Defense Command. Cole had seen the alien pods with his own eyes. He had stood in the quarantine labs as military scientists dissected the creatures, witnessing the strange decay that consumed them from within. And he had heard the garbled transmission Aisha had decoded before her disappearance. Unlike the others, he couldn't forget the final words. Earth doomed. Now standing before the reinforced windows of Earth's primary orbital station, Cole gazed at the blue planet below. The station orbited high above the atmosphere, a technological marvel designed to intercept threats from space. Yet for all its advanced weaponry, Cole couldn't shake the feeling. Something was already here. That they were unprepared. A soft chime broke the silence, and Cole turned to see Lieutenant Sarah Vance entering the control room. Her face was pale, eyes wide with unspoken fear. "Sir, we've detected something," she said, her voice tight. "A cluster of unidentified objects moving past the asteroid belt. Trajectory indicates they'll reach Mars within 24 hours. Cole's pulse quickened. "Show me." Vance activated the holographic display, projecting a three-dimensional map of the solar system. Small red dots moved steadily toward Mars, their formation chaotic and erratic, as if they were fleeing something unseen. But what caught Cole's attention wasn't the objects themselves, it was what followed behind them. A vast shadow loomed at the edge of the display, its exact dimension unclear. Sensors couldn't define its shape or composition, only that it emitted no heat, no light, nothing, just a void moving through space, swallowing all signals that touched it. Cole leaned closer, eyes narrowing. "Is this a ship?" Vance shook her head. "Unknown, sir. Our instruments can't penetrate it, but whatever it is, it's enormous, larger than any object we've ever recorded beyond Jupiter." A cold knot formed in Cole's stomach. "Have we sent probes?" "3 so far," Vance replied. "All went dark within minutes of approaching the anomaly. No data returned." Cole clenched his jaw. The aliens who tried to conquer Earth had vanished near Mars, destroyed by something they couldn't fight, and now that same force was coming closer. "Alert all defense stations," he ordered. "Raise threat level to maximum, and prepare the orbital cannons. If this thing comes within range, we fire." Vance hesitated. "Sir, with respect, what if it's not something we can stop? The aliens were more advanced than us, and they didn't stand a chance." Cole's gaze hardened. "Then we die fighting. Humanity won't go down without a fight." Hours passed in tense silence as the unidentified objects approached Mars. The world below remained oblivious. Governments maintaining a strict information blackout to prevent mass panic. Only those within the military and scientific elite knew the truth, that Earth stood on the brink of annihilation. At precisely 0200 hours, the first anomaly occurred. Orbital sensors detected a sudden burst of electromagnetic interference near Mars, followed by a surge of heat and radiation. Surveillance satellites captured fragmented images, brief glimpses of colossal tendrils emerging from the void, lashing out with impossible speed. The fleeing objects, once assumed to be remnants of the alien fleet, vanished one by one, consumed in flashes of blue-white energy inside Earth's orbital station. Alarms blared as data streams filled with static. Cole and his team scrambled to maintain sensor locks, but the interference grew stronger by the second. Status. Cole barked over the chaos. "Massive energy surges near Mars." Sir, Vance shouted above the noise. "Our instruments are failing. Whatever that thing is, it's distorting spacetime itself." Visual feed. The holographic display flickered, then stabilized. What they saw froze them in place. A shape loomed beyond Mars, partially obscured by the planet's thin atmosphere. It was neither ship nor creature, but something in between, a vast amalgamation of organic tissue and metallic spires, shifting and twisting as if alive. Its surface pulsed with sickly blue light, veins of energy coursing through its armor. Long tendrils extended from its core, each one tipped with jagged crystalline growths that seemed to absorb the faint starlight around them. Then, as if sensing their gaze, the entity turned. Though it possessed no eyes, its presence seemed to focus on Earth's orbital station. A low-frequency hum resonated through space, vibrating the station's hull and sending shivers down every spine. "Sir, it's locking onto US." Vance whispered, her voice barely audible. Cole forced his feet aside, slamming his fist on the emergency console. "Fire all orbital cannons, target the core, and don't stop until that thing's dust." The station's rail guns and plasma batteries roared to life, unleashing a barrage of energy blasts and hypersonic projectiles. Bolts of plasma seared through space, leaving trails of ionized gas in their wake. Rail gun slugs, accelerated to near light speed, slammed into the entity's surface with devastating force. For a moment hope flared. Sections of the creature's outer shell shattered under the assault, releasing bursts of iridescent fluid that crystallized upon contact with vacuum, but the damage was superficial. The entity shifted its wounds, sealing almost instantly as tendrils extended toward the station, moving faster than any human weapon could track. Cole braced himself as the tendrils closed in, and then without warning, the creature stopped, its entire form convulsed as if struck by an invisible force. The blue light within its core flickered, growing erratic, and unstable energy pulses rippled across its surface, each one stronger than the last. The entity twisted and writhed, its tendrils retracting as though in agony. What's happening? Cole demanded, gripping the console. Vance's eyes darted across the chaotic data streams. I don't know, it's reacting to something. There's a secondary energy source near Mars. It's inside the planet. Cole's heart pounded. Inside Mars? Before he could process the implications, the creature's core exploded in a burst of blinding blue light, sending shock waves rippling through space. The station's shields flared as debris scattered in all directions, but the worst had passed. The void that had consumed the alien fleet was gone as silence returned. Cole exhaled slowly, shoulders sagging with exhaustion, yet a single question lingered in his mind. If something inside Mars destroyed that creature, what will it do when it turns its gaze toward Earth? News of the anomaly's destruction never reached the public. Government scrambled to suppress any leaked footage, erasing evidence from satellites and silencing those who asked too many questions. Yet within the highest ranks of Earth's military and scientific communities, a new fear took root. The entity had been powerful beyond comprehension, but something inside Mars had obliterated it within seconds. Commander Nathan Cole sat in the dimly lit war room of Earth's Orbital Defense Command, staring at holographic schematics projected above the steel table. Images of Mars rotated slowly, marked with red zones where sensors had detected strange energy signatures. Since the entity's destruction, those signals had grown stronger, as if something beneath the planet's surface had awakened. Across the table, General Catherine Briggs, head of Earth's Strategic Space Command, studied Cole with a hard gaze. Decades of military service had carved lines into her face, but tonight her eyes held something colder than fear. Calculation. You're certain the entity was destroyed by something inside Mars? She asked, her voice low and deliberate. Yes, ma'am, Cole replied. Our sensors detected a secondary energy pulse originating beneath the planet's surface. The creature's core destabilized immediately after that pulse. Briggs tapped her fingers against the steel table, each movement precise. And what's the current status of the energy source? It's still active, Cole said, but its output is increasing. Whatever's down there, it's getting stronger. Briggs leaned back, expression unreadable. We can't afford to wait. Launch a recon team. Deep surface insertion. I want eyes on the source. Cole hesitated. With respect, General, that's a risk we can't predict. If it destroyed something as powerful as that entity, our people won't stand a chance. If Commander Briggs interrupted, her tone sharp, our mission is to ensure Earth's survival. We need to know what we're dealing with. Launch the mission. That's an order. Cole clenched his jaw but nodded. Yes, ma'am. 3 days later, the recon team departed from Earth's orbital station aboard the Archangel, a state-of-the-art stealth cruiser designed for deep space infiltration. Its hull gleamed obsidian black against the void, equipped with the latest cloaking technology to evade detection. Leading the mission was Captain Naomi Hayes, a seasoned operative. Dr. Aisha Voss's reputation for surviving impossible odds had earned her both respect and fear. Beside her stood Lieutenant Ethan Park, a cybernetic specialist whose neural implants enhanced his reflexes and cognitive speed. The rest of the team, 10 elite soldiers equipped with advanced exosuits, prepared for planetary insertion. As the cruiser approached Mars, inside the command deck, Commander Nathan Cole adjusted his headset as the planet loomed on the main display. Clouds of red dust swirled across its surface, obscuring deep canyons and jagged mountain ranges. Yet beneath the barren crust, sensors detected something unnatural, a pulse of energy that resonated through the planet's core like a slow, steady heartbeat. Approaching drop zone, the pilot announced. Surface insertion in 60 seconds. Voss activated her suit's internal systems. Team status check? Systems green, Park replied, his voice calm. Neural interface calibrated. Ready for insertion. Alpha Squad, ready, echoed Sergeant Ramirez, leader of the ground unit. The Archangel descended through Mars's thin atmosphere, its thrust leaving faint trails of blue plasma against the rust-colored sky. Automated defense systems scanned the surface for potential threats but found none. Only silence and wind howling through ancient canyons. As the cruiser approached the insertion point, a crater near the planet's equator, the pulse of energy grew stronger, vibrating through the ship's hull like a distant drumbeat. Instruments flickered as interference increased, but the pilot maintained control. Initiating drop sequence, he announced. Hold tight. The ship's belly opened, releasing the drop pods, sleek capsules reinforced with adaptive armor designed to withstand high-speed impact. Voss gripped the harness inside her pod as it accelerated toward the surface, her pulse steady despite the rapid descent. Outside the narrow viewport, red dust blurred past in streaks of copper and gold. Seconds later, the pod slammed into the ground, shock absorbers engaging to cushion the impact. Armor plating retracted with a hiss of hydraulics, allowing the soldiers to emerge onto the surface. Voss stepped into the thin Martian air, her suit's filtration systems automatically adjusting to the low oxygen levels. Around her, jagged cliffs rose from the crater's edge, casting long shadows beneath the pale sun. "Alpha Squad, form up," she ordered. "Park, get me a fix on the energy source." Park knelt beside a portable scanner, its sensors calibrated to detect anomalous energy signatures. The device emitted a faint hum as he adjusted the controls. "Source is directly beneath us," he reported. "Approximately 3 kilometers underground. I'm detecting artificial structures, metallic alloys not found in any known human technology." Voss exchanged a glance with Ramirez. "Artificial? You're saying there's a facility down there?" "Not just a facility," Park replied. "A network of tunnels and chambers. Something massive. It's ancient but still active." Ramirez tightened his grip on his plasma rifle. "If it's been down there all this time, why is it waking up now?" Before anyone could answer, the ground beneath their feet trembled. Dust cascaded from the crater walls as deep vibrations resonated through the rock, growing stronger with each pulse. Instruments crackled with static, interference levels spiking off the charts. "Movement below us," Park shouted. "Something's—" A deafening roar erupted from beneath the surface, and the ground split apart with a thunderous crack. Voss stumbled as jagged fissures opened beneath her feet, forcing the team to scatter. From the depths of the earth, metallic tendrils shot upward, sleek and segmented, tipped with crystalline blades that gleamed in the sun. They moved with unnatural speed, slashing through the air as if searching for prey. "Open fire!" Voss barked, raising her plasma rifle. Bolts of energy lanced through the air, striking the tendrils in bursts of molten metal and shattered crystal. Yet the tendrils continued to rise, dozens of them weaving through the air like serpents. One lashed toward Park, but he dove aside, rolling across the rocky ground as its blade slashed through the air where he'd stood moments before. "Fall back to the ridge," Voss ordered. "We need cover." The team retreated toward the crater's edge, firing as they moved. Ramirez's squad unleashed a barrage of explosives, shattering several tendrils into molten fragments. Yet more continued to emerge, their movements synchronized, as if guided by a single intelligence. As they reached the ridge, Voss activated her comms. "Archangel, this is Ground Team 1. We're under attack. Request immediate extraction." Static answered her call. The interference had severed their communications. Gritting her teeth, she turned to Park. "We need a way to disable whatever's controlling these things. Can you pinpoint the main power source?" Park ducked behind a rock, adjusting his scanner as tendrils lashed overhead. "Working on it. Hold them off a little longer." The ground beneath them trembled again, and a low, resonant hum echoed through the air, deep and ancient, like the voice of something that had slept for millennia, and was now awakening with purpose. And toxic gases leaking from fissures beneath the floor. If they didn't escape soon, the planet itself would kill them. Voss tapped at her scanner with shaky hands. "There's another tunnel on the far side of the chamber. It leads deeper underground, might connect to a secondary access point." "Deeper?" Cole shot her a look. "That's the opposite of getting out of here." "I know," Voss barked. "But it's the only way forward. The surface route's gone." Another quake rocked the chamber, tilting the floor beneath their feet. Cole bit back a curse, forcing himself to focus. Every instinct screamed to get out, but standing here debating would only get them killed. "Fine. Move," he ordered, grabbing Voss's arm and half dragging her toward the far wall. They sprinted across the collapsing floor, dodging chunks of debris as conduits burst with arcs of blue-white energy. Molten fluid leaked from fractured veins, scorching the rock with acrid steam. The air grew thick with heat, each breath burning Voss's lungs despite her suit's filtration systems. Ahead, the tunnel yawned open, narrow, jagged, and barely stable. Voss shoved Cole inside first, then dove after him as the floor behind them split apart with a deafening roar. The entrance collapsed the moment she cleared it, sealing them inside the narrow passageway. For a moment, there was only darkness. Voss could hear Cole's ragged breathing beside her, echoing off the stone walls. Dust clung to the air, gritty against her tongue as she forced herself to inhale slowly. "Status?" she rasped. "Alive," Cole replied between gasps. "Barely. Keep moving. No time to rest." Voss activated her suit's built-in lamps, casting beams of white light down the tunnel's jagged walls. The stone glistened with faint traces of metallic ore, the same strange alloy they'd seen near the core. Alien, ancient, and still faintly pulsing with residual energy. They advanced slowly, crouching to squeeze through narrow gaps as the tunnel twisted downward into the earth. The air grew hotter, laced with a faint scent of sulfur and something else. Something metallic and faintly sweet, like blood on a cold blade. The hum that had resonated through the core was gone, but Voss could still feel a faint vibration beneath her boots, like the distant heartbeat of something slumbering far below. Cole scanned the walls as they moved, his neural implants flickering with faint blue light as he tried to interface with the residual energy around them. "These structures, they're not just tunnels," he murmured. "They're part of a larger system. The core we shut down was just one node in a planetary network." Voss shot him a wary glance. Meaning there might be more of those creatures," Cole said grimly. "And if they all wake up." "They won't," Voss cut him off, her voice hard. "We shut down the core. Whatever controlled them is dead." Cole didn't answer. His silence lingered as they pressed deeper into the earth. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The tunnel narrowed and widened without pattern, winding through layers of rock that grew hotter and denser with every step. Voss could feel sweat soaking her undersuit despite its cooling systems. Her pulse pounded in her ears, but she forced herself to keep moving, eyes fixed ahead as if sheer willpower could carve a path to the surface. Then, without warning, the tunnel opened into another chamber, and Voss stopped short, pulse hammering as adrenaline surged anew. This space was smaller than the core's chamber, but no less alien. Walls of smooth black metal curved inward, forming a dome laced with veins of bioluminescent crystal. Strange machines clustered along the perimeter, tall spires of glass and steel connected by cables that pulsed faintly with residual power. Unlike the previous chamber, this one still buzzed with faint life, machines clicking softly as dormant systems cycled in slow, rhythmic pulses. At the chamber's center stood a pedestal of black stone, carved with symbols that seemed to shimmer faintly beneath the light of their suits. Suspended above it hovered a sphere of liquid metal, perfectly smooth, rippling faintly as if reacting to their presence. The air around it crackled with faint static, like the distant hum of a live wire. "What is this place?" Voss whispered, stepping cautiously toward the pedestal. Cole's eyes glinted with reflected light as he scanned the sphere, his implant flickering faster as he approached. "It's a control node, but more advanced than the core above. This might be the central hub, the system that governs the entire planetary network." Voss's pulse quickened. "Can you shut it down?" I don't know," Cole admitted, brow furrowed as he adjusted his scanner. "This technology is beyond anything I've ever seen. But if I can interface with it." Before he could finish, the sphere pulsed with sudden light. Symbols ignited across the pedestal, lines of molten gold racing through the stone as the air crackled with electricity. Cole stumbled back, clutching his head as blue light flared across his neural implants. "Cole!" Voss lunged forward, grabbing his shoulder as he convulsed beneath the surge of energy. His eyes rolled back, veins glowing faintly beneath his skin as the sphere's pulse synchronized with his own heartbeat. I can hear it, Cole gasped, voice distorted with static. It's speaking, transmitting. Get out of there. Voss dragged him back, breaking his connection as the sphere flared brighter. Cole collapsed to his knees, gasping for air as residual energy crackled across his suit. Voss raised her rifle, aiming at the sphere. Tell me I should shoot that thing right now. Wait. Cole held up a hand, struggling to catch his breath. I accessed part of the system. It's not just controlling the creatures. It's transmitting beyond Mars. A signal aimed directly at Earth. Voss's blood turned cold. What kind of signal? I don't know, Cole whispered. But it's waking something up, on Earth. Before Voss could respond, the sphere pulsed again, and this time, a sound echoed through the chamber. Deep and resonant, like a voice speaking in a language no human could understand. Yet somehow, Voss could feel its meaning reverberating in her mind. The first trial has ended. The awakening begins. Voss clenched her rifle tighter, pulse hammering in her ears as dread coiled deep in her gut. Whatever they'd found beneath Mars, it wasn't over. And Earth was next. That had filled the chamber was gone. The metallic veins along the walls faded to dull gray, their energy spent as the network went dormant once more. Voss collapsed to her knees beside the shattered pedestal, sweat soaking her face as the last sparks of blue light faded from her implants. Cole knelt beside her, gripping her shoulder. Voss, you did it. I think so, she gasped, struggling to catch her breath. The signal, it's cut off. The nodes on Earth won't activate now. We stopped the awakening. Cole exhaled slowly, her entire body aching with exhaustion. For the first time in what felt like hours, she allowed herself to believe they might survive this. Let's get the hell out of here, she said, pulling Voss to her feet. They turned toward the far side of the chamber where another tunnel stretched upward into darkness, their only path to the surface. But as they approached the exit, a faint vibration stirred beneath their boots, deep and distant, like the echo of something far below that had yet to fully awaken. Voss paused, eyes wide with sudden realization. Wait, this network wasn't just transmitting to Earth. Cole froze. What do you mean? Voss's voice was hollow with dread. The signal, it wasn't just calling the nodes on Earth, it was broadcasting beyond the solar system. Cole's breath caught in her throat. Beyond, before she could finish, a deep resonant hum vibrated through the chamber, low and vast, like the breath of something awakening across the void far above, beyond the thin skies of Mars. Distant stars began to flicker with faint blue light. The hum vibrated through the stone walls, low and distant, like the breath of something unimaginably vast, stirring from ancient slumber. Cole felt it in her bones, resonating beneath her armor as faint tremors shuddered through the ground. The air seemed to thicken again, heavy with the scent of molten metal, and something older, like the cold breath of space itself. Voss clutched her scanner with trembling hands, eyes locked on the readings flickering across its cracked screen. It's not stopping the transmission, cut off locally, but something out there heard it. Cole stepped closer, heart hammering against her ribs. Who, another fleet like the one we destroyed? Voss shook her head, eyes wide with dread. No, this is bigger. I'm detecting gravitational anomalies beyond the outer planet's distortions in spacetime, like something moving toward the solar system. Fast, define fast. Cole demanded. Relativistic speed. Close to light speed. Voss swallowed hard. There. Still months away, maybe longer depending on their approach vector, but they're coming. Cole's blood ran cold. The first alien fleet had been terrifying enough, armed with technology centuries beyond humanity's grasp, but whatever was coming now, it had answered a signal sent by something older than Earth itself. We have to warn Earth, she said. If we can get a signal through the interference. Another tremor cut her off, shaking the ground hard enough to knock her off balance. Stone cracked overhead as molten veins within the walls flared faintly like a heartbeat struggling to restart. Cole cursed under her breath, hauling Voss upright. No more delays. Move. They sprinted toward the tunnel, boots pounding against stone as echoes chased them through the narrowing passageway. The air grew hotter the deeper they went, thick with the scent of scorched rock and ozone. Voss stumbled, exhaustion dragging at her steps, but Cole gripped her arm, dragging her onward. Minutes stretched into an eternity as they climbed through twisting tunnels, lungs burning with each breath of thin heated air. Stones scraped against armor as the walls narrowed, forcing them to crawl through sections where rockfalls had partially sealed the path. Every breath came ragged and shallow, but Cole forced herself to keep moving faster, harder. Upward. The faint tremors that had chased them since the core shutdown began to fade. The air cooled as pressure decreased, and Cole's suit sensors registered a drop in toxic gases, signs they were nearing the surface. Almost there, she gasped, pulling Voss over a jagged ledge. She collapsed beside her, gasping for breath, as sweat slicked her face beneath her visor. Wait, Voss struggled to Catch her breath, hands shaking from exertion and neural feedback. Just give me a second, no time. Cole grabbed her arm, hauling her upright again. We're getting out of here now. Another few minutes of climbing, and the tunnel opened into a wide fissure that slanted upward at a steep angle. Faint light filtered down from above, pale and thin but unmistakably sunlight. Cole's chest ached with sudden hope. There goes, she shouted, scrambling up the incline. Voss followed, close behind, hands scrabbling against loose rock. As they climbed towards the surface, the air grew clearer with every meter, thin and cold but mercifully free of the underground heat. Dust clung to their armor as stones shifted beneath their boots, but Cole didn't stop. 50m 2010. With a final burst of strength, Cole hauled herself over the fissure's edge and collapsed onto the rocky surface of Mars. Cold winds scoured across her faceplate, carrying the faint scent of iron-rich dust as she lay gasping beneath the pale red sky. Voss dragged herself up beside her, collapsing onto her back as she sucked in ragged breaths. For a moment neither of them spoke. Cole stared up at the distant stars, faint and cold against the thin atmosphere. The sun hung low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the jagged landscape. Wind whispered through scattered rocks and crumbling cliffs, the silence almost peaceful after the chaos below, but Cole couldn't shake the chill coiling deep in her chest. They're coming. Voss's voice broke the silence. We need to contact the Archangel, get a message to Earth before a shadow passed overhead. Cole sat bolt upright, pulse hammering as her hand dropped instinctively to her rifle. Dust scattered as a sleek shape descended from the sky, engines hissing with faint bursts of plasma as it slowed to hover above the rocky slope. The Archangel, its black hull gleamed against the pale sky, stealth plating shimmering faintly as it adjusted altitude. Searchlights swept across the rocks, locking onto Cole and Voss as the ship's side hatch opened with a hydraulic hiss. A figure appeared, Sergeant Ramirez, plasma rifle slung across his chest. As he waved them forward, move, Cole shouted, hauling Voss to her feet. They sprinted across the rocky slope as the Archangel touched down, landing struts hissing against the uneven ground. Wind whipped dust across their path, but Cole didn't stop until she reached the ramp, clambering aboard as Ramirez pulled Voss up beside her. Where the hell have you two been? Ramirez barked, scanning their scorched armor and blooded visors. No time to explain, Cole gasped. Get US airborne now. Ramirez didn't argue. The ramp sealed shut as the Archangel's engines flared brighter, lifting the ship skyward with a burst of blue plasma. Cole collapsed into a seat beside Voss, chest heaving as the deck vibrated beneath her boots as the ship ascended through the thin Martian atmosphere. Cole wiped sweat from her faceplate and forced herself to focus. Tom, get me a secure channel to Earth. I'll try, Ramirez replied, adjusting the controls. Interference is still heavy from the underground systems, but wait, I'm picking up something. Static crackled through the speakers, distorted and faint but unmistakably human. Cole leaned forward as a fragmented voice broke through the interference, calling all Earth Defense Command stations. Priority 1 alert, incoming contact beyond Neptune's orbit, unidentified vessels approaching at high velocity. Repeat, unidentified vessels approaching. The signal cut out with a burst of static. Silence hung heavy in the cabin. Voss's voice broke the tension, low and strained. They heard the signal, and they're already here. Catch her breath, hands shaking from exertion and neural feedback. Just give me a second, no time. Cole grabbed her arm, hauling her upright again. We're getting out of here now. Another few minutes of climbing, and the tunnel opened into a wide fissure that slanted upward at a steep angle. Faint light filtered down from above, pale and thin but unmistakably sunlight. Cole's chest ached with sudden hope. There goes, she shouted, scrambling up the incline. Voss followed, close behind, hands scrabbling against loose rock. As they climbed towards the surface, the air grew clearer with every meter, thin and cold but mercifully free of the underground heat. Dust clung to their armor as stones shifted beneath their boots, but Cole didn't stop. 50m 2010. With a final burst of strength, Cole hauled herself over the fissure's edge and collapsed onto the rocky surface of Mars. Cold winds scoured across her faceplate, carrying the faint scent of iron-rich dust as she lay gasping beneath the pale red sky. Voss dragged herself up beside her, collapsing onto her back as she sucked in ragged breaths. For a moment neither of them spoke. Cole stared up at the distant stars, faint and cold against the thin atmosphere. The sun hung low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the jagged landscape. Wind whispered through scattered rocks and crumbling cliffs, the silence almost peaceful after the chaos below, but Cole couldn't shake the chill coiling deep in her chest. They're coming. Voss's voice broke the silence. We need to contact the Archangel, get a message to Earth before a shadow passed overhead. Cole sat bolt upright, pulse hammering as her hand dropped instinctively to her rifle. Dust scattered as a sleek shape descended from the sky, engines hissing with faint bursts of plasma as it slowed to hover above the rocky slope. The Archangel, its black hull gleamed against the pale sky, stealth plating shimmering faintly as it adjusted altitude. Searchlights swept across the rocks, locking onto Cole and Voss as The ship's side hatch opened with a hydraulic hiss. A figure appeared. Sergeant Ramirez, plasma rifle slung across his chest. As he waved them forward, "Move!" Cole shouted, hauling Voss to her feet. They sprinted across the rocky slope as the Archangel touched down, landing struts hissing against the uneven ground. Wind whipped dust across their path, but Cole didn't stop until she reached the ramp, clambering aboard as Ramirez pulled Voss up beside her. "Where the hell have you two been?" Ramirez barked, scanning their scorched armor and blooded visors. "No time to explain," Cole gasped. "Get US airborne now." Ramirez didn't argue. The ramp sealed shut as the Archangel's engines flared brighter, lifting the ship skyward with a burst of blue plasma. Cole collapsed into a seat beside Voss, chest heaving as the deck vibrated beneath her boots as the ship ascended through the thin Martian atmosphere. Cole wiped sweat from her faceplate and forced herself to focus. "Tom, get me a secure channel to Earth." "I'll try," Ramirez replied, adjusting the controls. "Interference is still heavy from the underground systems, but wait, I'm picking up something." Static crackled through the speakers, distorted and faint but unmistakably human. Cole leaned forward as a fragmented voice broke through the interference, calling all Earth Defense Command stations. "Priority 1 alert, incoming contact beyond Neptune's orbit, unidentified vessels approaching at high velocity." "Repeat, unidentified vessels approaching." The signal cut out with a burst of static. Silence hung heavy in the cabin. Voss's voice broke the tension, low and strained. "They heard the signal, and they're already here."